Joey James, Joey
Yes,
Alvarado,
sir.
my man.
All right.
BJ Black Belt.
Your right hand man.
Your right hand man. KettleJitsu Grandmaster.
Yeah. Founder.
This is the way. This is the way.
That's right, man.
How you doing, man?
Good, brother.
Yeah.
Excited for this podcast. It's been a while. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, when are you going on? I was like, I don't know. Every time me and Alberto schedule something, something comes up. Like, cause we're always doing something.
Right.
We're always doing something. That's why I like you. Cause one of the reasons why I like you, one of the many reasons why I love you, but like, you're always pushing the envelope and you're always trying to do something. And I'm the same way, man. I get bored, and I got to do something else. I got to go. I just can't stand around doing nothing, man. I just look at it like we only have one life. Might as well do everything you want to do. So I dig it.
Yeah. Where you grew up in LA?
No, man. I was born here, and then my biological parents split up, and my mom remarried, and she married a gentleman who joined the military, and like you,
okay.
like when I was about 3 or so, like we moved to Germany. We moved to Stuttgart. Where were you at? You were in Munich. You were in Munich. Okay, so we were in Stuttgart, and then we got stationed in South Carolina, and then from South Carolina to Belgium, from Belgium to Germany, back to South Carolina, and now LA. I never lived in LA, and we never really kept ties with anybody over here too much. Just a few people.
And your dad was from here?
Yes, my parents, my
Wait,
biological parents and my stepfather, they're from here. They're from like the Highland Park area over there. So that's why I like Highland Park. I guess I kind of feel
your roots connected.
My roots, I'm connected to that city for some reason. I like Highland Park. But yeah, so yeah, man. So I lived a pretty nomadic lifestyle, I guess you could say.
How is it being back in LA or as moving here and settling down here? You said you're settling down here, right?
Yeah. I definitely settled down.
How many years have you been?
Man, like, you know what? Like I never in South.
When did you settle here?
I settled here about 25 years ago after being reunited with my biological father, because I was so young when my parents split up. I was raised to believe my stepfather was my real dad, and that's one of the reasons.
Is Alvarado your biological name? Or
no. On my birth certificate, my birth certificate says Jose Antonio Medrano. That's my real name. Yeah.
Okay. Medrano was your dad's.
That's my my dad's name. Yeah, my dad's Joe Medrano. He was a professional boxer, and yeah, man.
That's where the fighting and the
fighting
martial arts,
whatever's in your blood, man. And you have no choice. So. Yeah, so I was raised to believe my stepdad was my real dad, and while we were stationed in Germany, he passed away.
Was he a good guy?
He was a great guy, man. I never had any reason to not think he wasn't my real dad.
Yeah.
I never had any, because he was always support. I wanted to play football. Boom. I mean, I didn't want to train in martial arts, but he made me, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Because I used to get my ass kicked when I was living in South Carolina by the brothers, man. They used to love the little Puerto Rican boy with the curly hair. And I used to come home crying.
Hair,
huh? They're like, Professor, you had hair. Yeah, I used to have hair. They always, if they see a picture with hair,
like a fro,
everybody just laughs.
You got to show me a picture.
Oh my God. Oh, I have to get my sister.
See that. Yeah.
I'll post one. Like I posted a couple before, and people were like, that's you with hair? You had hair? And I'm like, yeah, I think everybody at some point has hair. Yeah. So then we were living in Würzburg. I was going to college in Munich.
Munich. Oh, Munich. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to college in Munich because there's a University of Maryland, American base over there.
Mm-hmm, yep.
And they had like a little university for the people who were stationed overseas and stuff.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then my dad passed away. I moved to South Carolina, and then a couple years later, my mom died.
No way.
And so I thought my biological parents were done, and so I'm just like living my life. I had no direction, man. I just knew I liked martial arts, and I always trained in martial arts. You know what I mean? So I just kept going with it, but I didn't know what I was doing with it or nothing, And one day, like a few years after my mom passed away, my aunt called me up. She was like, "Man, I got to tell you something, dude." And she was like, "That wasn't your real dad." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Of course it was. She's like, "You ever wonder why you're so good at fighting?" And I was like, "All the time." She's like, "Your dad was a world-class boxer." And I was like, "What?" And then, man.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was like 25 or 26 years old.
Wow, man.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. Then everything, since I was a little kid, everything started making sense. I used to have like these visions of this guy with an afro, because my dad he had an afro when he was like, and I never could like knew what it was, but I had it like in dreams and stuff like that. Yeah, because I was with him when I was a little kid, you know, and I never knew. And then everything throughout my life, little things my mom would say and stuff like that. I remember like watching Sugar Ray Leonard and Duran fighting, you know, and I got so pumped up. I was jumping around. I was like, Mom, I think I want to be a professional boxer. And she looked at me. She was like,
oh, man.
She was like, what? And like, I remember she gave me a look. I never understood that look, but I remember now her, and I was like, I know. Like, she knew I didn't know, but she was like, fuck, it's in his blood too, man. You know, like he has like a desire.
And she never told you, huh?
She never told me, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Man, you know, like I don't dwell on things. I don't like to dwell on things. You know, like it happened. Obviously they didn't have bad intentions behind it. You know,
she probably didn't want to hurt.
Your stepdad. My stepdad. I think my biological father talked about my stepdad, and he said that they're always very confrontational with one another.
I bet.
And who knows, man? You know, like also my dad and my mom, they grew up like in the gangs in LA, you know, like my dad was from the Avenues. My mom was I heard some crazy stories when I came back to LA from my other brothers. She was from Dogtown. And my stepdad, he grew up very poor in gangs. All his brothers were like freaking like hardcore gangsters and stuff like that. And my mom's brother, who was shot and killed in Highland Park by God knows who, like they wanted to get away from all that, you know, and he knew he had to do something to better his life. So he joined the military to take care of me and my mom and, you know, and my sisters too. I had older sisters too that he adopted all of us. And,
okay.
I mean, that takes a lot of balls, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, man. So like, you know, I have no hard feelings.
Just trying to protect, huh?
Yeah, you know, like who knows why they did it? They did it. It happened. I'm over it. You know, like I know my purpose in life now. You know, but I'm glad I found out because then everything made sense. I was like, now I know why I do martial arts.
Yeah,
I was supposed to be a professional fighter.
I mean, it's crazy though. How, like once you found out, like, what were you thinking?
Just, man, so many things are running through my head. But one of the big,
like a process, right?
Honestly, like one of the biggest things was relief, because now I know why I had put so much work into martial arts. Because, man, people don't understand people like us. You know, like I'm training in martial arts. My friends, he went on to be a DEA agent. I have other friends that they're getting married and everything, and they're like, "Why do you waste so much time doing that shit, man?
Why are you doing that cage fighting?
Why are you doing that stuff, like, dude? Yeah, like people didn't understand, like, and I was like, man, it's in my blood. I have to do it. It's what fulfills me, you know. Shit, yeah, like that too. Cage fighting.
You started doing martial arts before you found that out.
Yeah,
right?
I started training martial arts like when I was like 8 or 9 years old under Grandmaster Moreland. He's on my Instagram.
Nice.
And
Taekwondo?
Yeah, he's Taekwondo, man. You know, Grandmaster Moreland. I still call him Grandmaster Moreland. He calls me Master Joy. I love him. He's like my martial arts daddy. And you know what's funny? Funny is
what city was he in?
He's in Columbia. Well, he's in Atlanta, Georgia now, but it was Columbia, South Carolina back then.
And I lived in Columbus.
That's where I started my martial arts journey, Columbia, South Carolina. And that's when back then it was a big Taekwondo boom. So like Taekwondo was a popular martial art because it was going to be a Olympic martial art. So there were Taekwondo schools everywhere. So my dad, I think he felt comfortable with this particular instructor because my grandmaster, he was in the military. He was stationed in Korea for a long time. So he was black. He looked exactly like Marvin Gaye. He could sing like Marvin Gaye. And his nickname was Gus because he kicked so freaking hard. When he kicked those heavy bags, they would bend in half, you know. And so that was my master. And he spoke fluent Korean as well.
That makes sense on the singing, huh? The way you
maybe, man. That influence.
Martial arts by day, Joey Jazz by night.
Funny, so I started my martial arts journey with him.
Nice.
Taekwondo, and then later on, he started teaching more Hapkido and stuff like that. And then later on, I got exposed to what I teach and what I do now. But that was our first taste of martial arts. So I have like black belts in Taekwondo, Hapkido, and I studied another Korean martial art called Kuksul. It's like a Buddhist style of Hapkido. And then through a couple different situations, I started training in Jujitsu. After, like, I used to bounce at a bar in 5 Points in South Carolina. It's like the college town where USC is, University of South Carolina, the Gamecocks. And there's like a little college district right there. It's called Five.
You know, when I moved back from Germany, that's where I ended up for 6 months. Yeah.
In Columbia, South Carolina?
Yep.
Are you serious?
There for 6 months, yeah. I think in 6th grade, I went from 5th grade to 6th grade. I skipped a grade.
That's crazy how like you lived in Munich, I lived in Munich. It's crazy, huh? It was meant to be, Professor. We kept missing each other. It's funny,
I
man.
bet you could have been like around the same years, possibly.
It's possibly, man. Jesus, man, that's crazy. I didn't know you lived in Columbia, South Carolina.
When was it? I was like,
why? Were you? Did your parents move there too, or something?
Yeah, well, my stepfather was German, right? And
yes.
he was really into country music, and he had like a lot of good friends. He would always start out. He was a entertainment attorney. So like, what's his name? What was the Whitney Houston, like Whitney Houston, like a bunch of like in Europe, you know.
Okay,
so he was
cool.
a big time entertainment attorney, and then in the summertime he would go to U.S. and he would start out in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, and he would do a tour.
Oh wow!
And he would buy old like LP records, and then sell them not online. It was before online, but he would send like a list out to customers all over.
Wow.
I don't know how he got the list, but you know that's what he did, and he actually still does that till today.
That's crazy, man. Wow.
And his starting point was South Carolina. And so
I wonder why Columbia, South Carolina, of all places.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was.
Well, I mean, it's country music,
deep,
right?
Yeah, I mean, it was country music was what he was into.
Music.
So he's German, but he's like a cowboy. Yeah, he's totally he has no accent. He talks like somebody from the South. And so, yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip.
He believes it, man. He believes it.
He loves it.
He loves it.
Yeah, he loves it.
Man.
He wears cowboy boots, cowboy hat, straight up. Yeah,
he loves it, man.
And he would do a tour buying LPs, and we even went one time with him when I was a kid.
That's pretty wild.
Driving around, yeah. But we started out in South Carolina, and then we lived there for 6 months. My mom was like, "No, it's gonna cut it," and we moved to New Mexico, back to New Mexico from there.
Yeah, it's a little different out there. You know, I could never live. I have family and I have some friends out there, but it's nice to visit. But LA is my home now.
It's like white and back then it was like white and black pretty much, right? There was no like.
Yeah.
You're probably like the only brown guy in the mix.
Yeah,
with
man.
The fro.
Yeah, man. Like they didn't know what the hell I was over there. People would always be like, "What are you? What are you?" Nobody knew. They knew I wasn't white.
Yeah.
Especially like when I used to bounce over there, because I used to bounce like in my early 20s, and this is when I already had black belts in taekwondo. I used to get a lot of, like, if I had to escort people out, people didn't know it. Some people would think I was like militant. You Saddam Hussein looking motherfucker. This and that. Oh, dude, man.
Hispanic.
All kinds of stuff. But they didn't even know I was Hispanic, you know?
Yeah.
But they didn't know. They just knew I wasn't white.
You
so
could
like
be Middle Eastern, huh?
Yeah, I could be anything, man. If I get caught up at the Glendale Galleria, they'll just start speaking Armenian to me. Yeah, so yeah, there was a lot of racial tension, and there still is, man. There's still when I went back, there's still there still is.
It's real, huh?
It's real, man. Yeah, I don't think so. The South is
not overnight.
Is really rooted in it, so it's a little bit different over here in LA.
That's the deep South right there.
For sure, man. That's the dirty South right there.
Yeah.
The dirty South.
Yeah. So how did you end up in LA? What happened?
Oh, so my aunt, after she told me about my
you were living in South Carolina. You guys moved back from Germany.
Yeah, I was living in South Carolina, and then my aunt called me up and told me about my biological father. And then she was like, "Is it okay that I put you guys in contact?" And I was like, "Sure." And she said,
your aunt lived where?
She lived here in LA. That's my aunt Rosie.
Okay,
it was actually my aunt, and she was like, honestly, her and I are like oil and water, man. Oil and water. We just, some people you just do not get along with.
Was she close to your mom?
My mom, not really close. They kept in contact, but my mom and her weren't. Like even siblings don't get along the best.
Sure,
but you
sure.
still love them and stuff like that. But not too much. But she was like one of the few aunts that I did know. She was probably like the only aunt that I know, actually, now I think about it. But she wasn't my favorite aunt. She called me up and she's like, "Hey, I got to tell you something, man." And then she's like, "I ran into your," she told me about the biological father, and she was like, "Is it okay if I put you guys in contact?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then she sent me pictures, and I look exactly like him, and I was just like, "Oh my God." And then when I came out here,
25 years old,
25 or 26.
Yeah.
And then I came out here, and man, I instantly just felt at home in LA. I was like, this is where I was supposed to be the whole time, man. It's like there's Hispanics as far as I can see. Like it just felt like at home, man. It was crazy. I was just like, and then I went back to
got your Cortezes on.
Yeah, now I do, yeah, LA style. And I went back, and then my dad was like, "Why don't you just move out here?" And I was like, "All right." I was like, I felt it, you know, and I wanted to save money and do it right, but my dad was like, "Hey, just move out here. You know, you can stay with me and this and that." I moved out here with like $100 in my pocket, and man, I tell you what,
Did you fly or did you take a?
I had frequent flights
okay.
because I was flying back because I had a girlfriend that was still going to college in Munich for a while.
Okay.
So I had accumulated points. I'd use those. I didn't have a car, I didn't have nothing, and man, and then since then it's been a roller coaster ride. Like I moved here, my dad lost his job, his wife left him and took the kids, and they were foreclosing on the house, and neither of us had jobs or anything like that. You know, and
at 25 years old.
I was 26, 26.
Yeah.
I just barely met my dad, so we're living in this house. We didn't have a job or nothing, but he had been taking me around to all the boxing gyms, and everybody knew my dad, all the old school guys, all the gyms and everything. And we used to go to this gym in Alhambra, and there was this guy, Rudy that owned the gym. He was like, "Hey, you guys need money, right?" And we're like, "Yeah." He went in the locker and he pulled out this shoe box that had stencils and a spray paint cannon. And he had a official notice from the city. He said, "You can go around and ask for donations to paint curbs for people. And they can, because they have to be visible for like firemen and stuff like that." And they're like, "It's legit. You're not doing it. It's legit. Just ask door to door." You know, and we needed money, so we did that.
My first thought was, "Hey, why did you tag?"
We went around tagging.
I was like,
we will pay you to tag. Put a little creeper up on the.
I don't know.
Sorry, Serge. That little creeper. He's not a real gangster. Serge's boy, little creeper. No, like I was like, "Are you serious?" But man, we did it. We would knock on the door, and say, "Hey, this is a letter from the city saying your address needs to be touched up," you know. And we'd earn like maybe $5-10, and then we'd go to Carl's Jr. and get like that would be our dinner for the day, man. Yeah, man. Like that's why you know, I've always worked, man. I don't care what you.
What year
you
was
have
that?
to work. You have to work. Oh my God, I'm so bad with.
How old are you? That was like when you first.
When I
moved
first
out
went,
here,
so I was 26,
mid-20s, yeah.
26, 27 years old, man. And that's my first. That was like my first few months of living in LA.
Father-son bonding.
Oh my God, that's what you want to call it, you know. And so yeah, we did that until I found like a regular job, and then I got on my feet, and then I started training jiu-jitsu again.
What was your first like regular job?
You know what? I got into the auto detail business, like back east in South Carolina. My brother-in-law, we opened a little shop.
Okay.
So we had a shop for like quite some time over there, and I didn't really want to get back into that industry because it's a lot of hard work. But man, it was a trade. I knew it. I could do it, and right away I got into it, and I started making money doing it. You know what I mean? Helped me get on my feet.
Yeah.
And then since then, man, I've had like so many jobs. Especially I feel like sometimes like I'm Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, you know. when I tell people,
you were telling me you like used to what's that where you cut trees or you climb up the trees and cut the trees.
Like I was a tree
trimmer.
First job was painting curbs here in LA and tagging. I
was like, what? Why is somebody gonna pay you to tag? Well, all right.
People they don't tag with stencils though, Professor. So just so you know. So I did that, and then I worked for a detail company, and then this actual dealership liked me a lot, so they hired me themselves, and they're like, "Hey, come do our, manage our detail department." I did that. Through that, I met some guys that worked for the city. They got me in the city, and I was a tree surgeon for a while. So
tree surgeon, is that the
man.
term?
Yeah, it's a tree surgeon for the city of LA. Yeah, it's a tree surgeon. And man, I had to learn. I had to learn how to tie 20 knots. Yeah. I had to learn how to climb a tree using a rope and saddle. Mm-hmm. Like you ever see?
It's hardcore.
Oh yeah, man, yeah. This is crazy. I actually liked it after a while because I was.
That's why you got into jiu-jitsu, huh?
No.
Besides
no, man. But like I could climb.
That was your pre-training. That was
I could climb like a monkey, man. Because there's all kinds of techniques, man. There's a knot called the taut line hitch, where you can shove it up. So what you do is like you wrap it or you throw your rope and saddle up over a tree, and then you thrust your hips up and you shoot the taut line up, and then you just start ascending up the tree like that. And then I look at these CrossFit people doing those kipping pull-ups, and I'm like, that's where it came from. That's how you ascend up a climbing tree. And I was like, oh, I see what those guys are doing now. So that's what I associated with. So I did that for a while. I got laid off, and then I was an EMT for a while. doing medical transport. I was doing medical, and this whole time, Professor, I forgot to mention, at this time when I was still detailing and working for the dealership, I was a professional MMA fighter. I totally skipped that. Yeah.
So you got into one of the fighting gyms. How did that happen?
No, man. Like
you started doing jiu-jitsu first.
I started doing jiu-jitsu with Roger Machado.
Uh-huh.
My master. That's my master. Yeah. And at Blue Belt, man, I caught that MMA bug, man.
Uh-huh.
There was nobody doing it, but you know what? You know how I got into it? And Joe Camacho. Remember Joe Camacho? Yeah. So Mika,
rest in peace.
He was rest in peace, Joe Camacho. He's like a mentor of mine. He invited Joe over at the Machado school. And then afterwards, they put on a headgear and like, all right, man, you box and he's going to try to take you down. I was like, what? This is crazy. And then, and they knew I knew how to box. So I put the gloves on and Joe took me down right away. And I was like, oh, I understand what's going on now. Then I lowered my stance and I started boxing him and he was having a hard time. And then Joe was like, hey man, you should try to fight. You got great hands and you had good takedown defense, stuff like that. And then I was like, yeah, man, I thought about it, And then that's when the UFC was still small and it still wasn't a household name. People didn't know what it was really. People didn't really know how to train. Not too many people did, not where I was from. So then later on, I caught that bug after competing from white belt to blue belt. And I got Hajru's blessing too, because I didn't want to just bounce and be like, hey, like I told him what I was. He's like, listen, man, you have my blessing. He goes, I can't help you with MMA. I don't know MMA, but I can help you with jiu-jitsu, just let me know. And then like there were no gyms in the East LA area right there. So like I knew that guy Rudy, the same guy that gave me the stencils to go tagging. I said, hey, can I rent the gym out in the evening? And then I bought a wrestling mat. We'd roll the wrestling mat out in the thing. And whoever came to the gym wanting to learn MMA, I was like, listen, I'll teach you MMA to help me train for my MMA fights, man.
That's how it was, huh?
That's how it was back then with us. We're like self-trained,
How'd you find the fights?
There was this one guy, Rick Screeton. I got to get props for. I just haven't seen this guy in so long. Rick Screeton, wow. Like he started training with me in the gym. He was from the Machados and he knew I was doing MMA and he was all into MMA. And he was always on the internet. And back then, the internet wasn't that big, so I didn't really mess around on the internet that much. I didn't know too much about emailing and all that stuff like that. And he came across like a fight promoter in Mexico. Because another thing people don't realize is that we were fighting before MMA was even legal. Like people just assume that MMA was legal. No, it wasn't legal. We used to have to fight in Mexico, and we used to have to fight on the Indian reservations. So he came across this guy, Marco.
Soboba?
No. The first one this was in TJ.
TJ, okay.
And so then,
what was the Indian reservation you fought on?
Soboba. That's what the King of the Cage.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I got my first fight in Mexico, and then I kind of stayed tied with that promoter, and he liked me, and I got other fights from him as well. And then King of the Cage and Soboba, and then later on, I fought in the first legal California sanctioned MMA fight in Upland. It was California Extreme Fighting, and I think it's still going on. California Extreme Fighting.
George?
I think it is George. Is it? I think he bought the name from a guy named Mike Rush.
I fought. Yeah, they were connected.
Yeah, I fought. Like he was the first one to own California.
Wow, it's old school, huh?
Yeah, because I fought in the first couple.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and the second one I fought Karen Darabedian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was back then. So like, you were fortunate because you had like legit. You had like the guys in New Mexico. What's his name?
Greg Jackson.
Greg Jackson. You had
Michael
those guys
Vision,
like that.
yeah.
I mean, you trained with good people, but like we didn't have that luxury.
I mean, it was beginning, right?
But you still were with some like.
Well, I found I had my students, but then I knew he had like a lot of experience.
Yeah, you had actual coaches.
yeah.
Because like half the time, I think my students.
Oh, for sure, and that's how it was everywhere. I think, for sure.
And if you did train with like another camp, then man, you had a leg up definitely because it was just I was learning by trial and error, man. That's how I learned. I learned the hard way. I'd win a fight, lose a fight, win a fight, lose a fight, and but I'm glad I did it because I knew I had to experience it myself because I had to test myself. For sure. I had my first pro fight when I was like in my early 30s, and I was realistic. I was like, listen, I'm not gonna make it. Might not make it to the UFC, but at least I'll have like knowledge to bring back to my students because I knew eventually I wanted to open my own gym.
How many fights did you do total?
I had like 15 fights.
15, okay.
Yeah, 15 fights.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, like I said, it's experience.
Legit,
you know?
yeah, for
And
sure,
then it helped
sure.
me too, because like when I was training MMA fighters, like I knew how to train them correctly. I knew about working on, like, because back then, like, I didn't care if somebody took me down. I was like, I'm just gonna submit you off my back. That's how cockeyed I was with my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And then you come across people like Karen Dare-Beaton who know how to
guys
pound
yeah,
and stuff like that.
most guys didn't know jiu-jitsu, right? At the time.
Yeah. So like
you started as a blue belt fighting, right?
Yeah. And I got lucky. I would armbar some people, you know, and I just thought I could do that. I love arm bars, so I thought I could do that to everybody. And then the level started getting better. People started learning how to ground and pound, and then I had to start learning how to wrestle more and try to defend wrestling more. And then
evolved.
But then it was too late. I lost the eye of the tiger, and I was like, all right, I'm done with this MMA stuff. Yeah. So, but I'm glad I experienced it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
like,
it's awesome.
I look back and I'm like, man, that's pretty crazy. I'm over there fighting in TJ.
No, it's
like,
super valuable for us. Like, I don't know if this hopefully the students appreciate, you know.
Yeah,
that background, because, you know, I appreciate like the basics, the basics, the fundamentals. You know them really well.
Yeah, of
and
course.
you know them from fighting, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
if
man.
If you make a mistake, you pay for it.
For sure, man. That's why.
I love that you have that ingrained in you.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
You share that with our students. You know?
Absolutely, we both do, and I think that's part of what makes this gym special. Is like we have so much experience between the both of us, and we had similar careers. You know, you fight at a much higher level too, man. So that and I mean that's, to me, man. When getting in the cage and fighting at the level that we were fighting, man, it takes a different kind of person to do it. You know, not everybody does it. I mean, I remember now it's popular to say that you're an MMA fighter, but like whenever I would tell people back then, they would look at me like I was crazy, and they would go, all right, buddy, good luck with that, man. Okay. And they're like, why? And then I know what they were thinking. This fucking fool's crazy. He's going to go fight in a cage. Yeah. And I think maybe
it's crazy that it's evolved into, like, Greg Jackson always believed in it. I don't know if I really believed in it fully, that it was going to turn into a sport like it has, you know, like a legit sport, like NBA.
It almost died for a while.
Yeah, it almost died, right? But they, you know, Dana White and the Fertitta brothers, right?
Man, they resurrected it big time, man.
Did all the right things, and here we are today, right? One of the major sports on TV.
Big time, man. It's
crazy.
Amazing. It's amazing how it's evolved.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it's changed so much, because now people will even lie about being MMA fighters. That's how popular it is.
Train UFC.
Man, I have seriously had plenty of run-ins with people like that, man. And it kind of irks me, so I'll sometimes, you know me, man, I have a big mouth. I'll say something, I'll be like, you're not a fucking MMA fighter. It just bugs me, man, because you know why is because there's a lot of frauds out there. You know, online you've seen people faking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Black Belts, faking their MMA fighters, and then people train with them, and they get a false sense of security. You know, it's crazy, dude.
For sure.
Yeah, but
I mean, you think it's getting less and less, but there's still people out there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
People out there. It's crazy. It's crazy that they're able to do that. And,
yeah,
but
man.
you know, it comes out sooner or later. So
for sure. But you know, you can. It's all how you sell yourself on social media. You know, you can really fool people. You know, sometimes. You know, it's like that in the fitness industry too. You know that.
Speaking of that, how did you get into kettlebells? What was
the kettlebell? Well, when I had my own gym, SoCal MMA, I had a business partner, Bill. Great business partner, man. And we're just always trying to find a way to have better classes for our students, do better workouts, mixing it up. Because we're doing the same thing everybody does, like little circuit training, you know, which is good. It works. People like it. You know, it has variety. But to be honest with you, for me, it was getting a little bit monotonous. And then he was like, hey, why don't we get a kettlebell instructor? And I was like, I was like, I've heard good things about it. I heard it's good for martial arts and stuff like that, you know. And but I was smart enough to know that I needed an instructor. Because I was like, I didn't know what to do with those things, you know. I never really seen, because like I said, the internet wasn't that big. It was just coming up, and I didn't play around on the internet too much. So he researched it on the internet, and he found an RKC instructor, which was Pavel's original organization. And he was like, hey, this is this guy over here in LA, and he's going to teach a class at our gym like once a week. I think it was on Sundays. And I was like, cool. And it turned out I know the guy. He was a Machado guy too.
Okay.
And you know, like he knew what he was taught, which was super basic stuff. And it just wasn't enough to keep students in the gym. It wasn't enough to keep me interested, but it was enough to spark an interest in me. And I was just like,
you appreciated
I like the fundamentals.
I like the good fundamentals down.
Yeah, I like the fundamentals, and I like
the bones.
Yeah, I like the way the exercises felt. But what perplexed me was like, how come nobody does anything different with these freaking things, man? I was like, what is up with this? I was like, how come we just only do the same thing? And I would look online, and there was there was like a stigma that you're not supposed to do anything else. And it was all around that one organization. Those people, they laid these dogmatic views down and like, oh, you're not supposed to. And then one day I just had an epiphany. I was like, man, I bet you can do a hip escape with a kettlebell. And then I was living in my gym, by the way. So all I had to do was open the door, and then I was right there on the mat already. And so I jumped in and I started doing stuff. I was like, man, I bet you could do rocking chair. And then I just started like, man, it just opened Pandora's box.
You're the first guy to add movement to.
I was the first person. Yeah, exactly. I think so, because it was.
You got a lot of hate for it.
A lot of hate, man. It was mostly from those people from that organization, because nobody had ever, it was like almost like 50-50. Some people were like, finally something new that makes sense. Even like my business partner at the time, Mark DeGrasse, like I had networked with him, and I knew he had been in the fitness industry for a while, and I was like, hey, what do you think of this? And then he was like, we got to do a DVD. It makes sense. It's like the evolution of kettlebells. Like nobody does any different. And I was like, it makes sense, And I was like, cool, somebody believes in it. And at that time I had been, my students were kind of like my guinea pigs, and I started adding the kettlebell stuff to the workouts. And then people started asking for it. And people were like, hey, can we do more of that KettleJitsu stuff? And I was like, cool. It's like, so they like it. And I liked it. And I felt it helped me get in shape. It kept me interested. It allowed for a lot of variety, because you too, we get bored. I have to mix it up and do different things, and it also allowed for creativity, which is I'm a very creative person, man.
And fun. You make it fun. Come on,
thank
Joey
you,
Jams.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah,
Professor Joey Jams.
Yeah, man. It's fun for me. Yeah. So and people see I have fun teaching class, man. Yeah. I don't like working out alone. Going to the gym and pumping the iron and getting buff, by yourself. But I have fun working out with my students, man, and I'm the type of person that leads by example, and so are you. We don't say, hey, go compete, and then we sit on our ass and just don't do anything. We compete, we fight, we do everything. You preach your club bells and TACFIT because you do it and it makes you feel good. And we lead by example. And why would somebody want to do it? If you're not doing it yourself. I love doing it. I love waking up at 4 a.m., man. Like, if I'm gone on vacation, man, I start getting antsy. I got to get back to routine again, because I look forward to these students coming to my class and sharing time with me on the mat at 5:30 in the morning, man. They come in there, and it's important to me. I want to give them what they want. They want a good workout, and I'm there to give it to them, and I'm going to work out with them too, because I enjoy it. I'm very fortunate that I get to do it,
Yeah.
And I encourage everybody to find like some form of exercise that makes them happy, that they're going to keep doing. I don't care if it's like Zumba. I've known people who started off with Zumba because maybe they were a little shy.
Yeah.
And some of those Zumba people, man, they be putting it down, but it gets them moving.
Yeah.
And then it gives them the confidence to go do something else too, So whatever, man.
You've had people with you doing KettleJitsu for some time now, right?
Yeah. I have I have two students.
Been here for like 5 years or 4, something like that.
That was like the core of the I remember
if you here at 5:30 a.m.
I remember when I first came.
Gym.
Yeah, I remember when I first came, I was like, hey Alberto, I want to do a 5:30 a.m. And you're like, people are gonna show up at that time.
Yeah.
And the same two people that started are still here today. So that's DeRock and my boy Manny.
Yeah.
DeRock they've both been with me almost 10 years.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Almost 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, you started our morning program.
The morning program. People thought I was crazy.
Now it's like there's people here all day.
Oh
long,
my God,
right?
dude. We
5:30 a.m. till 10:30 sometimes. Man,
yeah, we got that. We got the Tough Girl Bootcamp going.
Yeah. I mean, it's packed in the morning.
It's popping now. And you know what, like all these young trainers and everything are doing privates in the morning now too. They're like, hey man, because people need to train, you got to find time. There's no room to do privates in the evening over here. Yeah. It's so packed. So like now you got Josiah coming here in the morning at 5 because he has a private in the morning, and I was with Dave this morning at 5.
Okay.
So like Josiah comes in here all groggy. And I'm all like bouncing around, and me and Dave are like choking each other out, talking smack to each other. Yeah, man. But you got to do what you got to do, man. You know, like people like to work out in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm turning into my.
Everybody's different, right? So
everybody's different.
We
man,
have something for everybody here.
For sure, absolutely, man. We have 7 days a week. We have something going on over here, man. It's pretty cool. This place has turned into. You know what I was thinking too? I was like, man, this place is not only it's a mecca of martial arts, fitness, but it's like stimulating so much creativity over here because we have all these artists over here. We have all these musicians over here now. And now, like, I'm about to record my first album, February 8th. I'm going to a recording studio, man. And
Joey
it just,
James.
man, it's just like blossoming over here. It's really cool, man. It's a really cool atmosphere. And I think people, when they come visit us too, they would agree. They're like, man, this place is so cool. I wish we had a gym like this, you know. But man, it's a pretty cool time right now over here at Legacy. For sure.
Yeah. And what's your you know, we talked about when your mom, or not your mom, your aunt told you about your dad. What was maybe like hardest moments in your life? You've shared some things with me in the past.
Yeah. Oh man,
some hard times. You know, everything. Oh, you
know what, man?
Easy life. You know, but you've gone through it all. Kind of. No, you know, like, what are some of the hardest moments of your life?
Man, you know, like I think the thing that I faced the most is the death of family and loved ones. You know, my stepfather, who I thought was my real dad, he committed suicide when we were living in Germany. 2 years later, my mom died of cancer. Between that, my coworker I used to bounce with, he killed himself. And then another friend of mine drowned, Tom. And then I moved out here, and man, I had another like uncles and my little brother. He was murdered like maybe 6 years ago.
Your brother?
My younger, like, so my biological father,
right.
I have a little brother and a little sister from him. And my little brother was my best friend, and he got caught up in some really bad stuff, and he was murdered. And you probably remember, like, the first few months that I was teaching here, I had 3 students die 1 month after the other. Yeah. You know, and one of them had just signed up
here, that day.
Eldon, my boy Eldon. You know, we were all so happy to see him. And the next day, he got on his motorcycle and he got ran over, man. Yeah. You know, and then my Yenny.
I think it was even on his way here, right?
He may have been on his way here, man.
Yeah,
you know, man. That's why I don't like motorcycles. Yeah. And so that, and it's really it's shaped me into how I live my life. That's why I just do what I want in life. I'm always try to be in a good mood, you know?
Yeah.
You know, we only have one life, you know, people die. It's just something that we have to accept. And we have to just make this one life count. And just, for me, it's about being the best person you can be, putting out good energy, and just doing what's right, man, you know? And like, no matter what, I know I'm a good person. I know I do good things. I don't do anything bad at all. Man, I even stopped eating meat and stuff like that, you know. Nobody thought it would last, but it's been like 4 years now, because that's just
how many years?
It's been like almost 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, Alberto gave me like.
I'll give you another year.
You know, he gave me like.
I'll give you if another 5 years, it'll be legit.
Like, nobody believed me, and Alberto was like, "I give you 6 months." Like, right there.
I still
because I used to eat the crazy, because I was like the biggest foodie. I was the biggest.
We'll see. I'll get another 5 years. I'll be okay. It's legit, you know.
I actually like it, man, because you know what? One of the things I like about it is the discipline of it.
Okay.
I like the discipline of it, man. I like things like that. Like, everybody's like, "You're crazy. I could never do it." And I was like, "Yeah, because you're not disciplined to do it."
How do you feel though? How do you feel?
I feel fantastic, man. Okay. I feel fantastic. I honestly feel like, you know, like, say, for instance, when E6 saw me, he was like, "Man, you look the same way as you looked like 10 years ago." And I was like, "Thank you." And I honestly think by cutting out all, like, man, I'm eating more. I realized, I was like, man, I wasn't eating any freaking vegetables, man. Now broccoli is like a staple of my diet. So, like, I was eating a bunch of bad foods, and it just causes inflammation and ages. And you'll age faster, man, you know? And I feel like when I cut all that out, like I got a couple years back maybe. And plus, we exercise on a regular basis.
Lifestyle, right?
Lifestyle, exercise. I have no stress. I have no stress at all.
We're all having fun all day long.
Oh, man, dude. Man, I can't tell you, man. You're the best boss I've ever had, brother. You don't feel like a boss, man. That's the thing is you know that I know what to do here, and you trust me, and you could be on the plane going somewhere and be like, "Hey, take care of all the classes." I was like, "I got you, man. No problem." You know, and with me, if "Hey, Alberto, I'm going to go to Australia for a week." "All right, you got all the classes? Cool." It's that simple, man. Yeah. We have to fill out any paperwork and apply for time off and stuff like that, you know. And
reports.
Yeah, man. And it's just a good vibes, man. So I'm pretty lucky, yeah. But I like doing the whole vegan thing, man. It's booming now, and I think it's the best for, like, the planet too as well. we have all these crazy things going on over. We had those fires in Australia and stuff like that, man. And man, it's crazy what's happening, But I dig it, man. But at a certain point in your life, like I'm almost 50. Everybody develops their own little philosophy, And just because I'm a vegan doesn't mean that I'm better than anybody else or anything, I just think you just have to, if you have a good heart, that's what's most important in life, man. You have a good heart, you do good things. And when I die, I feel like I'm going to go somewhere good, man. I kind of like the Asian philosophy, but who knows where we go, But when I'm on death's bed, I want to know in my heart, like, I'm going to be okay because I know I've done good things and I'm not going around doing mean things to people or lying, cheating, stealing, or anything. I'm an honest person, and that's how I live my life. Like, I like people can depend on me.
Yeah.
They know I'm a good person.
Yeah. We all love you. We all appreciate
man.
you.
Same. I appreciate it. And I know you trust me, man, because that's the way I am, man. I've always been that type of person. That's one of the things my stepfather had always instilled in me. He was like, man, you only have two things in your life. You have your balls and your word. He used to tell me that. And he used to tell me, he's like, if any job you have, try to be the best at it. He goes, if you shovel shit, be the best shit shoveler. And any job I've ever had, people see my work ethic and they move me up and they move me up and they move me up. And then that goes with anything in life. Whenever you immerse yourself in what you want to do in life, then you start meeting people who are like-minded like you. And then you start helping each other in different ways. Like when I lost my gym, you knew I was a good person. You knew I had good jiu-jitsu and everything. And you said, you were the first person to call me up. And I had like a bunch of people call me up. Like, hey, man, I got money. Let's open a gym. And you weren't like, let's open a gym. You were more like, how are you feeling? I've lost gyms before. I know how you feel. Just come train. And I was like, no, I don't want to train, man. I was all depressed. It was like right around Christmas time. He's like, just come train. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel better. And I was like, oh, no. And Alberto, he don't take no for an answer. And he was like, no. And Alberto's like, I'm not going to get off of this phone until you tell me you're going to come train. I was like, all right. So I came train. He's like, and then we train and you're like, you feel better? I was like, yeah. Like, you feel great after you're rolling. All your endorphins are kicking. You're like, why don't you just, and this is what you say, why don't you teach here until you open your own gym? And I thought that was pretty cool, man. I was like, man, this guy's just going to let me teach here for a little while. And then he was okay with it. And then a week later, I think we both knew, we're like, this is a good fit here. This is a good fit. And they're like, hey, we like you here. How do we keep you here? And I've been here ever since, man. Yeah. And I can honestly say, man, like this last 5 years of my life have been stress-free and some of the best years, most productive years that I've had.
Doing certifications.
I get to do my certifications. I get to do travel, like downloads and travel, and just, man, it's just opened up so many things. And we have so many amazing students that do different things, and through that, it creates different opportunities and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, man. Yeah. Pretty fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, our hearts were aligned. I just go on my instincts.
I
follow him and met you the first time because you were helping Jared Papaz.
Jared, yeah.
And you just had a good heart.
It's because of Jared. Jared brought me over.
Yeah, you brought him over.
Love
you brought you over, and then I met you, and then you started coming over to train, and I just felt like good vibes, and like we were aligned. You
guys helped me a lot when I was a brown belt because I was competing a lot, and I needed more people to train with.
You even represented the team.
For sure. The Vegas
won the team trophy.
Yeah, man, that was cool.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah,
got me a little belt from that too.
So it was a perfect fit.
Yeah, man. Sometimes things just align, and it works good, man.
At the end of the day, we just want to be happy, right?
Like we're like good cop, bad cop. We're like peanut butter and jelly. Yeah, it's cool, man. Because it's a balance. Like there's a good balance. Because we might not think the same all the time, but everything is for we always meet somewhere, and we do whatever's best for the gym and stuff like that.
That's it.
So that's the thing. We have like a common goal is like we care about our students more than anything, and we just want to give them the best. And man, and we're definitely provided it big time over here.
We try our best for that.
Yeah, for sure, man. You could see people see us putting our heart and soul in this stuff, dude. Yeah, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it, man.
That's it.
I don't think I could go back to having a regular 9 to 5 now. That would be horrible. I've been spoiled for too long,
Yeah. What are some of your best moments in your life?
Best moments,
highlight.
I would say maybe the first big one would be winning a belt in Mexico. Because Like I took a fight on short notice. It was 2 weeks, and I
Was
knew
it Valetudo with the gloves or no
it
gloves?
was MMA.
Okay,
it was
okay,
MMA
okay.
with the gloves. It was weight classes. It was
Okay,
lightweight,
Okay.
and I had been fighting for that same promoter down there, and I wasn't training for a fight at the time. And then I got the fight. I got a call, and he was like, "Hey, man, you want to fight this guy?" And then I knew the guy. I was like, "Man, I think I match up good with this guy." I was like, I can beat him even without training. You know, I just think I'm like he did like a lot of crazy fancy taekwondo kicks. They had real unorthodox jujitsu, and he would catch people and weird things on the ground. I was like, this guy is not going to catch me in any submission for sure. But he was real flexible, like weird, you know. So he used to trick people, and I call up my boy Albert Rios because Albert had fought him. He's like, Joe, you can beat this guy. It's for a belt. I was like, I'm gonna get a belt, man. I'm gonna get a belt, you know. And I took the fight, and I beat him in a 5-round unanimous decision. And man, like we're fighting. This was like, it was called Cage of Fire. It was like the first big production in TJ. And so it's Cage of Fire. It was held at the Municipal Auditorium in TJ, and that's where they have all the like the Lucha Libre. It was a cool little auditorium, so it held like about 5,000 people. And I thought
Tijuana?
Yeah, I was in Tijuana, and just afterwards, man, like I had a belt, and people were like, little kids were coming up to me, man.
Yeah.
And taking pictures because they love like Lucha Libre and all that, and the kids love that stuff. So little kids were coming up to me and want to take pictures and sign the posters, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Hey, I want to take a picture with the champ and stuff like that. So it was a really big high. It was a really big high for sure. And then I lost the belt, and it was a really big low after that, you know. But I got to experience both ends, man. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then, you know, like
so you can see like the fighters, right? It's hard for them to stop fighting.
People don't see. They don't see.
It's like a drug.
It's a drug, man. And I was like, man, I need to get that feeling again. I need to get that feeling of winning in the cage. You know, you keep searching for that feeling, and you can't use that. I don't think that's a good motivation. You have to want to fight, you know. And I found after a while, I kept searching for that feeling of winning again, but my heart wasn't in it. So that's when I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm good. I don't have to do this anymore. I'm almost 40 years old, you know. So that's when I stopped. But yeah, I got to see both ends of it. You know, that's why like I kind of could feel for Ronda Rousey when she lost, because I saw how everybody treated her after that. As soon as she lost, the memes popped up and everything.
Finicky, right?
And then and that's how I felt too. Like when I lost the belt, nobody wanted to take a picture with me anymore. I wasn't the champ. People weren't calling me the champ anymore. People kind of look at you a little differently, you know. They're like, oh, yeah, you know. And I was like, at her level, what she had to deal with, man, was crazy, dude. You know. So I feel for it, you know. And people don't realize what a mental challenge it is to get into the cage, man. That's something that I was battling with all the time. I was like, sometimes I was like so confident, and other times I was just like, what the hell am I doing here, man? I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
you did it anyway, right?
I did it anyway, man. I did it anyway.
That's the difference, right?
Yeah. After you sign that contract,
There's guys that back out.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
right?
I would never back out.
That's
me.
That's part of your
for sure.
integrity.
For sure, absolutely, man. Yeah. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. That's just me, man. It's really important. I think a really important thing in life when you tell people, and people see that you honor your word, then they're gonna respect you a lot more, you know. And
what happened to your dad?
Which one?
I'm sorry, your real dad, your biological dad.
My biological father? That's a whole nother ball. Well, him and his parents, they immigrated here from Jalisco, Mexico. So they came over way like when he was really young as a kid. So they were all like illegals. And all of them over the course of years, they all got their citizenship and everything. And I guess my dad never did.
Oh.
And after 9/11, they started cracking down on everybody, man. Everybody, dude, you know, like, and they popped my dad, man, and they deported him back to Mexico. Yeah, so he lives in Tecate now. He trains boxers over there in Tecate.
He's still around.
Yeah, he's still around. He's still alive.
That's good.
He's still, you know, he looks like a smaller, darkened version of me.
But you got some time with him, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It was
good
cool,
or bad,
man.
but it was still time,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
you got to connect with him, and
definitely it was
had
cool.
that experience of who you are, why you wanted to, where that fighting came from, right?
For everybody who's listening is in similar situations, you know, I think at some point you have to tell them about your biological parents, because you have to know it's important to know where you came from at least. But, you know, I don't think it was the best idea for my parents to hold off. I mean, they took it to their grave, you know. So I think like other people in the situation, you should probably just wait till they're at an age where they're mature enough to comprehend what's going on and stuff like that, and they can understand a little bit better. But everybody should know. So I'm glad that I know that, because now I know what's in my blood and what I'm supposed to do and why I do what I do. You know, because that was a big relief, man. Big relief. That was like a big relief. Knowing that, it was just like, oh, now I know why I do all this martial arts stuff. It makes sense now. And then moving to LA was another one. It was just like, wow, this is home. This is home, man. You know, so yeah, so he's cool, man. I talk to him every now and then. He has like a little wife over there, and he trains professional boxers and stuff over there too. You know, so it's cool. Like, and like actually, what's cool about that is that he kind of got out of the boxing game, and then when I came back in, I kind of dragged him back in, and he realized that he just loves boxing too. So now he gets to train. They pay him to train fighters over there. Yeah, so
keeps you young, man. Keeps you sharp.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool. You know,
Makes you happy, right?
And he has a lot of
Makes
knowledge
us happy.
too, man. He was like at one point he was like number 6 featherweight in the world.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was up there. He used to fight at the Olympic Auditorium over there. Yeah. So yeah. So he was like when we'd go to all the little different boxing gyms, people were like, oh my God, Joe Madrano, and they're like, you have a son? What? Hey, Joe Madrano. You know, like it was cool how people would react, and I would see people like, oh my God, you were my favorite boxer, this and that. Or trainers that were his friends, they're like, dude, your dad was a freaking beast, this and that, this and that, this and that. And that's pretty cool. You know, he even said that like one time Sugar Ray Leonard gave him a compliment. He came up, he saw Sugar Ray Leonard saw him, and he was like, oh my God, Joe Madrano. He came up and he gave my dad, and my dad was like, what the fuck? Because I love Sugar Ray Leonard. Yeah. I love Sugar Ray Leonard. So like, that's pretty cool. So he was up there for a while, but yeah, I got to meet him, and you know, now I know where my roots are and everything, you know, so it's all good now, man. Yeah. Show.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Hey, man, I'm glad I finally got to make it on here.
Yeah. Thank you for, every day in and day out. I love you, and we all love you. And
appreciate it, man. I love you guys too, man.
Yeah, we have fun. And
yeah, hell yeah, man. We're going to keep doing this legacy thing for a minute. All right.
How do people find you?
You can look up just KettleJitsu anywhere, Joey Alvarado.
Yeah.
On Instagram, KettleJitsu. On Facebook, Joey Alvarado. All that.
Legacy. Your Legacy.
Yep, Legacy right there.
Private.
You can see me here every morning, 5:30.
5:30.
5:30 in the morning. Getting it cracking.
Thank you, brother.
All right, brother.